Didn't I win the dice roll?
Did you? Yeah, he was sending first.
Did I say I'm first? Yeah. Oh, well. Who gives a shit?
Hey everyone, this is Kerb, and I bring you another standard match. Today we have a match featuring Orion and his Flagburg deck. Of course, that's going to be over on your left. And on the right, we have a very special guest, a very special deck. We have Steven from Bok to Bok Gaming, who would be better known if, you know, the channel ever actually uploaded. Anyways, getting into the match, we do have Flagburg going first, which is kind of what they want to be doing. You know, the way Orion built the deck, it is a very much a rush aggro deck, finish your opponent by turn 3 kind of deck. There will be a deck profile coming very soon on the channel where he'll go ahead and explain in depth exactly how we built the Flagburg deck. Anyways, Yotsuba is going to be actually just passing here because Yotsuba does have a different win condition in mind when it comes to actually, you know, winning a card fight. So, of course, we do see the Royal Ride line being played here, the Grade 1 calling out that plant token, and then running to the Grade 2 is going to allow us to just go ahead and get those 2 more tokens. We're going to call it 2 more Grade 1s to improve our rush ability. We're going to swing at the Vanguard, being blocked by a 15k guard, swinging for a nice 13k. Unfortunately, that attack is going to be met with an over trigger, so that is going to pretty much put an end to all the attacks for this turn. Yotsuba staying still at 0 damage. It's going to be riding into that Grade 2, going to allow us to check the top 7 cards of the deck, choosing a quintuplet from among them and putting it into the order zone, which, thanks to that crest, is now considered the memory. Now, don't ask me to explain any of the quintuplets things. I've never seen the show, and nor do I want to, as I'm sure many people also share that sentiment. But anyways, using the skill of the crest, we do actually get a Soul Blast and then check cards from the top of our deck equal to our Vanguard's grade, and then if we see quintuplets in those cards, we can put it into the memory. Looks like we did actually hit there, which is pretty unlikely a little bit because there's only like 7 quintuplets cards and you do kind of have to max out on them, including the starter, which you might end up seeing. Another new card here from BT2, the Battle Siren Resurrect Elethera, going to be allowing us to energy charge too, which is kind of not really, doesn't mean anything right now. But anyways, pushing up that high rate burst dragon, giving the skill of Elethera so that when it attacks, it will gain 5k power. Unfortunately, first damage is going to be a trigger there, so that is going to prevent the high rate burst dragon from actually dealing any damage. But we can still use the Yolanda skill in order to retire our other 2 Grade 1s and draw a card, pumping our Vanguard up enough to the point where it is actually able to hit. So Yotsuba there at 2 damage, going to be going into finally that Grade 3. Of course, you know, Grade 3 being our win condition. Discarding a draw there. We do see a lot of vanilla triggers in this deck, which is typical because obviously you don't want to put in like things you actually care about into these kinds of decks. These are purely, you know, just play them for fun. Anyways, gonna see a Persona Ride and a another card that gets put into the memory there. So we have that Persona Ride for next turn, so you can use it. But we are going to see what we're going to do here. Looks like we are thinking about using the crest there. We're going to be using the crest once again, checking the top 3, hopefully seeing a quintuplets there. But unfortunately, it looks like we are going with that is something that's very common, something you should be expecting whenever you play a quintuplets deck. However, we do have the Grade 1, which also lets you check the top, I think it's like 3 cards, 3 or 5, and then you got to choose a quintuplets, and of course put it into the memory. We're going to see a second one here, checking the top 3 there, and of course actually managing to hit off both of them. This time is going to be that order. Not exactly sure how many cards are in the memory. I know it is a little bit off camera, nor should I really care, because it doesn't really impact too much, and if it does, it'll be shown up on the screen. So next up, we are going to actually be calling the order cycle card that we got in set 2. Gonna allow us to discard a card and then send an order from our deck to the drop zone. And then, of course, when we would play that order, we can play it by putting it to the bottom of the deck. Of course, the card that we are going to be choosing is the quintuplets order. Now, all the quintuplet decks do have access to an order, which do various things depending on the number of cards in your memory at the time of your playing it. I'm going to draw a card off of, I don't really recall what, but you know, I'm sure it's all totally legal. Anyways, using the skill of the order card, going to be allowing us to, the main effect that we're going to be looking at here is giving our Vanguard an extra 5k. We do also get to put like a card to the memory as well. Our Vanguard gets 5k, which is actually not until the end of your turn, but actually until the end of your opponent's turn. So that is going to be an 18k base Vanguard for the foreseeable future. Anyway, so in this first column, not at the Vanguard, but of course at the rear guard, because obviously what you want to do with this deck is you want to stall out the game as much as possible, as well as, you know, just denying your opponent damage, because, you know, with that damage, there isn't a lot that they can do. At least especially against Flagburg. Flagburg definitely needs CB. There are some decks that can manage to do things without it, but Flagburg unfortunately is not one of them. As that attack is going to be hitting, the skill, the grade 2, is actually going to allow you to put another card from deck into the memory and draw another card. Swinging in the Vanguard for a massive 46k. It gets 5k for every 2 cards in the memory, so with a total of 8 at the current moment in time. That is going to be an extra 20k. Obviously, we do need to take this because, you know, you just desperately need one CB in order to do your plays. However, that is also a double-edged sword, because the skill of that grade 3 Yotsuba is going to allow you to choose a quintuplet from the drop zone and place it into the memory. We see a Burrow Mushroom being played here, as well as the Inlet Pulse Dragon, who is still in the deck. We'll talk a little bit more about Inlet Pulse once we get to the deck profile, but he is going to be there. That is going to enable us to get those at least 4 attacks here, because I don't know if you guys knew this, but Inlet Pulse does actually have a first skill that can actually be used in only Flagburg specifically. Kind of deciding what we want to be calling there. Theoretically, anything can suffice, just because like Yolanda gets 10k, so he's going to be hitting decently okay number. But the biggest problem here is that 13k base. That means that in order for this Inlet Pulse to actually hit, we do have to boost with a plant token there to swing 18. That is still just a 5k guard, so definitely not a threatening attack whatsoever. Just reading the high rate Burst Dragon. It did technically give its skill to, I guess, Inlet Pulse Dragon, but it's not really going to matter because they are both skills that activate on the first attack. So just going to be taking that attack, going to 3. Going to be swinging at the rear guard for that 13 to get that second attack off. Kind of, I guess we just have to decide, do we want to be guarding that? And then, of course, we're going to be swinging the high rate Burst Dragon here, using the skill Yolanda, which is a little bit risky here. You do guarantee this attack hitting, forcing out some guard, but you do also make it so Flagburg does need a trigger hit, as we're going to be drawing 2 cards, retiring the 2 quintuplets, and then this is going to currently be a 1 to pass that 18k base, so we're throwing out front trigger for a 2 to pass. So we're going to try check 1, it's going to be a critical, and the second check is going to be another critical, so that is 3 damage, and that is going to be the end of the match. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do things, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.